Beebe. Thank you for being here. Please stand for the page in prayer and we will get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. God, we thank you that we gather in a land of the free because of the brave this evening, and we ask that you will lead, God, direct these proceedings, that the decisions that are made be pleasing in your sight, beneficial to the people of our area. Bless our country, we pray in Jesus' name. Note to the record, we do have a quorum this evening, and we have a set of minutes from our July 5th meeting. Hopefully everyone has a copy of those. Are there any suggested changes to the minutes?
To accept the minutes as submitted. I'll second that.
Proper motion, second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. The minutes for the July 5th, 2022 meeting are approved as presented. New business. James, you may want to kind of catch us up to date on some of this. You added a drainage amendment. I know you sent us a document via email about that.
Yeah, this is the drainage ordinance from Cersei. It was the guy that's doing the city engineering right now, Kyle Breckenridge, suggested that we use this ordinance as a kind of a starter point to get a little bit better handle on our drainage. He said this was a good ordinance. Would be a good ordinance for us.
James, what were your concerns? You said there was a couple of concerns you had with it.
There was some language in the back end of it, and I can't remember exactly where it's at.
Was it the ditches?
Yeah, it had to do with open ditches.
Allow open ditches and there's subdivision.
I mean, I read through it.
I mean, other than that, it looked great to me. It gave us some guidelines to go by as far as the amount of flow that we need to plan for and everything.
And you were talking about the ditches, but we, in certain circumstances, allow drainage walls out there when we've got a large volume to it, instead of having to do a culvert or a box drain or something like that. That was the only thing, when you said you were concerned with ditches, could we, if we were to recommend this to city council, should we put something in there about walls and other large drainage?
It might be something you want to think about.
Okay.
This big, for example,
South First got that engineered wall going through it.
and I think the development we looked at for apartment dwellings behind Walmart, some of that was not covered as well. Is that right? And so
Yeah,
we talked about culvert sizes and so forth.
we're going to be looking, well, I don't know when that's going to come before us, but we're going to be looking at an open ditch that the end that flows toward the collector there, goes underneath dogwood. So yeah, we just have to make sure that the ditches or the walls where we want to go keep the necessary capacity. If I were to give a recommendation, it would be to move this forward to city council to add it to our subdivision regulation. And we've got to amend our regulation to allow for other classifications of building other than just subdivision. But this is a good idea, direction we need to be going.
Any other comments or questions, ideas? the engineer frankly knows more about drainage details than I do.
Does the city engineer concur with this ordinance?
He was the one that gave me the ordinance. Yes.
Well, I think we probably need to pass it up to city council to have our Beebe city attorney, because obviously it's going to have to take some stuff out of there.
Well, let's do it this way. Let's, I move that we recommend this to the city council as a format to use, to develop our own ordinance for drainage, subdivision drainage.
So they can work with the city attorney, or we can if we need to, whatever.
I'll second your motion.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next on our agenda this evening, discuss a little bit more about the planning area. I think the last time we met, we looked at a draft map.
Right, and I've gotten with Tony Cry, and Tony is actually working on a legal description for these areas. We're supposed to meet again, and then he said he would come before y'all at that point.
And once we have that, that's when we'll need to, in my view, schedule a public hearing, so folks can see what we're thinking about and can talk about it.
Do we expect that by our September meeting?
The way Tony talked today, yes, I would think so.
Would we want to advertise for a public forum, or should we get through this meeting? I guess I'm asking why. Do we need to get through the meeting, look at?
I think we need to see it first, and then because we may have changes that we think are important. It seems to me that we ought to have
We need to have,
consensus among us before we go further.
we need to have our ducks in a row.
I agree.
Yeah, the only thing that I haven't got an interpretation yet on is those couple of plots of land that we actually, the plot extended beyond a 1 mile jurisdiction, and we cut off a corner, so we just took in the whole corner. And that, can we include the entire plot of land? So
The ordinance that you brought up, is it, the city has the ability to go out a maximum of 1 mile?
1 mile. 1 mile from the existing boundary.
We probably need some interpretation on the city attorney on that, because if it's 1 mile, it's 1 mile.
And yeah, so we either exclude that entire piece of property, or if an interpretation allows us to bring that corner in. There's only maybe 6 corners total that.
Right.
that we
Well,
cut.
historically, I mean, whether it was the ultimate or not, there is a history from on legal descriptions in saying something like 660 feet either side of the center line, which might fall in the middle of a parcel, and that does create problems sometimes too. But you know, there is a way to break it at the 1 mile spot. Okay, very good. Well, we'll just table that and discuss it again at our next meeting. It sounds like, based on what you're saying, James, that public hearing might be in October or something.
I would hope so, yes.
And I'll try to be intentional where we can and schedule that at our meeting, so we don't have to have 2 meetings or 2 different nights. It might be a bit longer meeting than we're accustomed to, but that way we can ensure we've got a quorum. James, next thing you listed for us to discuss this evening is R2 single family detached. I guess zoning or details.
Yeah, this is something I was hoping that y'all would look at. With the minimum size lots in this R2 single family detached, you're looking, right now, R4 is a 6,500 foot lot. And it just seems to me that that 6,500 foot needs to be a minimum lot size for any new development. In other words, if somebody could come in here right now, get a piece of land zoned R2, ask you to zone a piece of land R2 to develop, and they could make 50-foot lots in that R2.
Okay, we've also got it under R3 single family detached, 5,000 square foot minimum lot area, 50-foot lot width, that building. Did we also look at that one also?
For new single-family dwellings, yes, I would think so. I would think that a minimum lot in Beebe should be around 6,500 feet or R4 size.
Of course, the R1, what gets around that is in the subdivision covenants. They call it minimum square feet, makes everybody increase it.
So our R1 is 9,000 square feet. I think the concern really has to do with that 50-foot lot width building, that building line more than anything. It's pretty small homes. And,
What is
pretty
your
small
recommend-
lot.
What is your recommendation on R2?
I would recommend, what I would actually recommend is that we have a minimum 6,500 foot lot.
Leave the 50-foot width as an option, if they want to go deep.
Well, at 50 foot, you've got to consider, like out in Terrace Meadows, you change that to have 12 foot and 8 foot sides, so that you could get something into your rear yard at least on that one side. So, that's about the smallest lot I would recommend having in any new development.
But what I'm saying is, if the width is the problem, just saying you gotta have a bigger lot doesn't fix the width issue.
Well, right, it would be
Necessarily, right?
65 feet.
Okay. So
Whatever the width is on the R4, I believe it's 65 feet.
make it different.
60 feet. It's 60.
Okay.
So that would give you, with the 8 and 12 on the side lot, that would give you a 40-foot building line.
I'm open-minded. It sounds like there's two ways to do this, and maybe we need to do neither, both, or one of them. I don't know.
Well, a different way to look at it is if we were to set the lot width at 60 feet, and then they still have to have the same amount of backyard, side lot, or side to side as what's already in there. If you set it at 60 feet, they're still going to be, unless they just put a postage stamp house on it, they've got to have all the backyard, all the side lot. You could probably do a small house on 5,000 square foot with a 6-foot side to side or building line lot.
Yeah, if you've got 60 feet, you put a 40-foot house on it, you could do a 30 by 40, be 1,200 square foot, but you don't have a garage. And that's just your, they're not build a house any smaller than 1,200 square foot and subdivision, I wouldn't think. And that doesn't leave room even for the not heated and cool space, porches, garage, that sort of thing. So it'd be hard to fit that.
So what would be the better way to go? Setting the lot width at 60 or increasing the lot size?
Well, I think like Mr. Shields said, if you just increase the lot size, then you still are gonna have the lot width problem. Because they can, if it is 60, then or 50, whatever it currently is, they can stay that and just go deeper, like he was saying. So the issue is the width, and that's the part that's got to change if we do anything.
I think you're right. I'm going to agree with you. I think we need to be a little bit wider on those because a lot of people are wanting a carport or a garage, but it's not necessary. 1,200 square foot home is a, 2 or small 3-bedroom.
So if we were to recommend a change to R2 and I guess R4 as well, to 60,
Well, we have it under R4. It's R3 single family detached.
the singles, the caveat, I think ought to be consistent there,
Right.
I would say.
Right.
Keith, you built quite a bit out here. Did that put any kind of hindrance on just saying they have to be minimum 60 feet? Okay. All right. I move to change the single within our residential lots, residential code, the single family detached R2, single family detached R3 to a minimum lot width of 60 feet.
Proper motion on the table, is there a second?
I'll say.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, first aid, 1702 West Center Street.
Okay, we have a couple here, like Stu and Neil, Rogers. They're holding up a first aid center, like kind of park here, or how would you characterize it?
So it'd be kind of like an urgent care.
Yeah, urgent care.
We do have some specialty.
Wait,
Um,
Stand right there, the microphone, you won't be heard.
right here. Can you hear me?
You bet.
Yeah. My name's Stanley Rogers. This is my wife, Dina Rogers. She's a nurse practitioner. I'm a paramedic. We've been in the medical field combined over 30 years. She spent the last 6 years in Pine Bluff in an urgent care down there, and the danger and the drive, frankly, is when we want to get back closer to home. We live over at Romance, and so we made the jump. We always wanted to open a medical clinic, a small walk-in clinic, kind of like an urgent care. So we have leased a property, 1702 West Center Street. And I contacted Mr. James and asked him about a building permit, and he and I had a discussion. He said the property was not in compliance, which I didn't have any idea that there was any issues over there. But he did give me the go ahead to work on the building and stuff. And we've got a lot of money involved in this project, and going to have some specialties there. We're going to do DOT physicals. Dina has been a sexual assault nurse examiner for 11 years, working with children in Central Arkansas. Eventually, we want to be able to do sexual assault for adult rape victims, and we'll have a room that's dedicated to that. There's really no place else that these victims can go to. The ERs don't even want them because they don't make them any money, and it's a problem. So all that being said, we're almost ready to open. We're within maybe a week and a half. Got a few little construction projects that I've got to finish up. But the problem is that our parking lot is gravel, and we've talked to Mr. James about it. I've talked to my landlord. I know that it's going to get paved, but we can't get a business license or certificate of occupancy until it gets paid and the fence gets built up. I know he's going to be working on the fence. I know that my landlord has gotten quotes for our piece of the parking lot, and he's going to pave it's supposed to be paving all the way around his place.
This maneuvering area around his building right here is still gravel. His parking areas on the side here are gravel. He has nothing. You saw the notice of violation that I sent to the gentleman. He's got R2 here, R1 here surrounding. He has no fence. Separate. So,
the fence
we've got to start somewhere about getting these people in compliance. This is an attempt to try to get this gentleman into compliance.
have you talked to him? Is he,
I have.
how's he respond?
I said I talked to him. I talked to him about a year ago when I first took this job over. And he was not happy. So I left it alone. And this situation came forward. So I've got to do something.
This is the lot that you leased.
So,
What he's got.
there's where the Moxie haircut place or beauty salon.
Okay,
We leased, here's what happened. Bill Hadley owned the property, Ameriprise Financial.
yeah.
And Salim Lamb, I guess that's his last name, owns the donut shop and that building. So Salim bought the property next door. I was looking for a property for this clinic, and Bill's my financial guy here in Beebe. I do business, that's where our business is in Beebe, or where we do business. So I was talking to Bill one day about looking for a property. He says, I've got one, we're fixing to sell it, the guy's gonna buy it, and he needs a tenant in there. So, you know, I jumped all over it. I contacted the guy, he said, yeah, we'll call the bank, I'm gonna have a tenant, and then, you know, that's gonna be a good thing. And so anyway, I didn't know the property was not in compliance until I talked to Mr. Squire. And he's been great, by the way, you know, helping us, you know what we need to do. The problem,
Stand his wife up, like they did everything like they were supposed to from the beginning.
James, that is C2, right?
That is C2.
Yeah, we rezoned that house years ago.
Yeah.
so the problem is we need to be able to open whenever we get ready. And I think it's gonna be paved in the next 2 weeks, but I don't know that for sure. But I need to be able to open and start seeing patients, because we're fixing to start operating on the operating capital that we borrowed. And if we're not seeing patients, we're gonna go broke before we get started. I'm not asking for 6 months or anything, but just, I mean, I don't even know what the time period would be if y'all gave us special permission to open, you know, till we can get it paid. That's what I'm coming forward to ask for, is if we could go ahead and open whenever we get ready, which it might be end of next week, it might be Mondays. Depends on when I can get our final projects done. I don't want to go against city ordinances, you know, I don't want to do anything like that, but I'm just kind of throwing myself on the mercy of the court, if you will.
I understand. I'm just one of the bunch here, but there is precedent for giving people a specified length of time to come into compliance. That's happened before, so you wouldn't be the first time. But at least in the last couple of years, James, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, we have had some specific timelines. So it wasn't like, I'll do it when I get to it. It was, I'll do it within, I think we've had a 6 month before. I don't remember one longer, but maybe we have.
But I like Mr. Ritchie's gonna make his timeline on the corner.
You know, the issue with drawing a line in the sand is we can lock your doors when the deadline passes.
Well, we've got one out there that's just about out of compliance at Mississippi and Center.
I'll pay for it myself.
Probably
if I have
a year on that one.
I guess what I'm saying is, if we go down this path, let's set a date that you're pretty comfortable with, but not squeeze it so tight that, I mean, in my mind, you know, there ought to be a date beyond which if the fence is not up, the paving's not done, that they would have to stop until it is. I don't know when that is.
2017, when 2017-2 was passed, everybody in the commercial districts had 60 days. It was 90 days. Get the fences up like this.
James, what's the required parking out there? That was based on square feet. Have you already calculated the required parking spaces?
Well, I would suppose that it would have to be calculated as a clinic.
Okay, but it should still be based
There's
on.
a minimum of 4 spaces per doctor. It starts out as four spaces per doctor. And then parking.
So you don't have that calculated yet then?
I can calculate it in just a few minutes.
You understand that we have to base it on the type of use?
I think it's 3 spaces per provider and 2 spaces per 3 employees. I think it's what it's saying.
Okay, does
Does that sound right?
that sounds about right.
And I'm gonna speak for myself and the commission. I mean, we really try to, we really try to do the right thing with something on.
Right, right.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I think we just need to have, you know, I'm fine with 6 months myself, but you know, everybody pick whatever date you want to do. I just think there needs to be some end game in mind. If we don't have a date, it'll never get done. I'm not saying you want to do it, but I don't know what you're planning on.
I want it paid because I want to look professional and I want my patients to be coming up on a paid parking lot. You know? So I want it done.
Sure.
So
I'll propose to give a 90-day. Call it 90 days for the parking lot to be in compliance with city.
You want to mention the fence either? Or?
Yes, and the appropriate things.
Now, are you going to give, Mr. Rogers 90 days, or you're going to give Mr. Lavin 90 days? It's easy to talk.
Well, it has to be us at the village, so.
If it's not done, I mean, we'll pay for it. I'll take out a loan if I have to pay for it and get my part done.
Can we even do that on tenant?
I can't hear you, but,
Can we even do that to a tenant?
you know, that's kind of a gray area because it's ultimately it falls back, you would hold the.
I mean, I would think that you would have to have the property.
Yeah, it's
All I can see doing, I mean, and this is my thought, is give a conditional temporary certificate of occupancy that expires, pick a date. And just let him, we're letting him know tonight and we send a letter that the conditional to the owner, that a conditional certificate of occupancy will expire on X date. And we do not intend to issue a permanent or a more substantial certificate of occupancy until you do A, B, and C. I mean, something like that.
So what has the owner said?
But I could do that by enforcement.
Yeah, you can just, I think you just write a letter and say, you know,
I know.
No,
Well, what
So
did
you're gonna
the
make it,
owner
James?
say to you, James, when you contacted him?
I took the three notices, bias, place of business, dropped them off with his wife. I asked her to please have them contact me. I'm not going to work.
I think that when that script thing was put in, that was part of it, that kind of, it was supposed to be have a fence there then.
I think it's true. And to be candid, I personally got complaints from neighbors about no
I've
fencing
got
and people
long
coming in and out.
complaints, you know, from that whole area.
You got that church.
That's why, to me, we need to put a date on this, so he understands, in theory, he's gonna lose your rent, or. You know,
So we'll have to move or pay for it.
Well, it's our understanding that after we got those notices from Mr. Swire, that he was headed out there to talk to me. That's what we're understanding.
And I've never seen that.
This will only be on the building that they're renting out.
No, no,
No,
he
no.
wants you to correct the drive-through too.
But I'm talking about the,
The 90 days.
are we gonna give the 90 days on all those parcels or just the one that they're?
I suggest we do it on all of them. All of them. To get the fence up where it's supposed to be,
He's got,
and get all of his parking with different areas paid.
he's got 2 or 3 tenants in that building right now, the tobacco shop, the donut shop. And there's something between. Yeah,
What we're asking to do is, correct me if you disagree, 90 days is plenty of time to do that. It's not,
Yes, I agree.
I won't be fair, that's not enough.
So do we need to make a motion to engage Mr. Swires to get all the uncorrected things
Do
fixed?
you want us to make a motion or do you want to stand?
I mean, from a code enforcement standpoint point of view, I can start a case. I've already basically started a case with the notices. I can give him the time frame, and if he doesn't apply, I'll issue tickets, and then we'll go forward.
sounds like what you're asking for is, can you give a CO to allow them in there without the fence, without the parking lot right now, right?
My suggestion to them was to come and talk to them.
Yeah.
And see if we could work out some kind of thing where they can.
And it sounds like, am I, correct me if we disagree, I think our consensus is we're comfortable with 90 days to let them open.
I agree.
I want to open tomorrow, let them open if it's, you know, I'm not a help hazard.
I move to give the first 80 to 90 days.
I'll second.
Limited occupancy to get over.
And I will offer a second to that one.
Okay, proper motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. So it gives you 90 days for sure.
Okay. We appreciate y'all.
Welcome to be
And Mr.
Hope we
John,
won't need to see you, but thank you for being there.
Sean Harris, taking home schools with Harris.
Okay.
You want to go see these?
Well, I talked to the people across the street that there's a church going in.
Right.
And it's White's paving.
Yep.
And I asked them today and they said that they gave him quotes. And so, but they didn't know if they had the green light to do it or not. So, you know, I'm doing, you know, everything I can to try to get it done.
But, I mean, my point was, Sean's
Oh.
already paid the school right now.
Oh, well, I can talk to Swain if they can't get it, White's can't get it done.
Is that Sean doing stuff?
Thank you.
Thank you, good luck.
Yes.
The other thing that James brought to my attention is that both Commissioners Lewis have submitted their resignation. They're not able to regularly attend meetings anymore. So I want to say thank you
Thank you for your service.
for your service and dedication, and y'all will be missed.
So is now a time to take this thing down to 5 from each of 4?
Well, I know we've got an applicant here tonight for, 3.
But we have 3 members off. I mean, I don't know when your major resignation thing, but if it's tonight, then that leaves us 3 commissioners short. We got Mr. Garland Rice. And then
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis.
And I'm trying to remember, I'm from one. We're
I'm at mine from 1.
2 ones that large.
See, Miss Jeannie and her husband, they were both Ward 2.
Two.
They go Ward 2. So we'll need to find somebody from Ward 2.
You're what ward are you? You're at large, aren't you?
I think I'm at large. I meant to.
And okay, you've got to be Ward 1, James will be the other at large.
Yeah, me and Mr. Carlson. So we need 2 in Ward 1.
We're covered in one.
One you
We,
know.
I mean,
It's a
2 in
two, so-
Ward 2.
and a 3 maybe. Right? Yes, I'm-
Kevin is in 2.
The only problem that we run into was 5, and the reason we went up with 9 is form on that.
Understand.
It's tough to get form. When we drop down to, was it 7 members? Wasn't that what we were at, Danny? 7 members?
7 by 1
So how many applicants do you have? And I don't understand, we have a hard time. We have a hard time getting people.
It's the pay, they pay too much. Oh.
So we have one applicant for that.
Yeah, they quit paying us.
Opening that we have got.
Yes, it was advertised twice.
They quit paying us.
Yeah, they sure did.
I'll find out from Milton what he was doing, how he was getting the money for that. I'm gonna take care of it.
I'm not complaining.
His
No, I
his
didn't.
wife.
Is that right?
We had some pretty good catered food a couple of times there.
Yeah.
Nice pizza.
Okay, there's a couple other items that we need to discuss.
Well,
Okay, we want to meet over.
we're still in this, James.
Okay.
So 7 or 9?
I think 5 is probably too few, maybe 9 is too many, because if we get 9, that really causes an aggravation to get a majority.
I'm flexible. We got 3, we clearly have 3 openings at the moment. So we have
Well, if
We have 6.
if we increase the applicant, then you're at 7.
Yeah,
But do we have, that we have 1 from Ward 3?
or 2.
The new applicants from Ward 3, right?
That's great.
That'd be the only person from our 3. Your 3 is, okay, so we have 2 3s, 2 at large and 2 1s then. So we need some, we'd have to have more seats because all the wards need representation.
all of them, I agree.
I don't know how we get, but I think we need to advertise for Ward 2 for sure.
So we need 2 from Ward 2.
I mean, that's ideal, I think.
I mean, if we can fill it from inside the wards, I mean, you're gonna stay as a floater or an at-large until the change, but you live in Ward 2, right?
And how,
We could possibly change that distinction.
Was it 7 or 5?
7, I think.
It was 7.
And
Because I came on a month after you, it's 7.
2006, yeah. Kennedy. 2006.
so that we've actually got 3 at large.
That's 5, yes.
Up to, we'd have to look back at the bylaws, but if we decide to go from 9 down to 7, there's a bylaw that has to be changed. And that bylaw, I don't have it, I memorized verbatim from memory, but it basically says that to change it, you have to have I don't remember, 3/5 or 2/3 majority. So we basically have to almost all agree, all of us that are still here.
The note that I have says that Michael, Westergrid was 1, Ward 1, Shields Ward 1, J and D Lewis 2, Connor 2, Nick Warden 3, Keith Griffin at large. I don't know what James Carlson was, and then Garland Rice is at large.
Garland was actually Ward 3.
He was,
And James is at large.
So that must have changed when he took somebody else that went off.
Well, and the truth is, I don't know everything, but the wards have changed with the population. It used to be a clean break at Main and Lemon. That was the story. And then you had 3 seat over 3.
So we got somebody who wants to serve in Ward 3. So we
We
just.
have it open, so.
Yeah, so we have 2, all we need is 2 applicants and we can leave it 9 problems off.
Believe it or not, I talked to a gentleman today that might be interested.
Awesome.
in Ward 2.
Good.
Let's try to get 2 before next meeting or something.
Let me introduce our applicant in Ward 3. I mean, this is Doug Warner. Doug, stand up. I've known Doug for 25 years. Lives over there in the Terrace Meadows, so he's definitely Ward 3. So he's got prior experience with municipal league. Viable candidate for this position.
Well, I propose to fill the vacant Ward 3 spot with. I forgot his name.
Second.
Doug Warner.
Doug Warner.
You have a first and second without your name, so you got a good recommendation.
Who, me?
All right.
Yep, you.
There's a proper motion to recommend him to fill and a second to fill the open position for Ward 3. All in favor, say aye.
Recommend that to our city council.
Motion carries, and they'll go in the minutes, and maybe that one's full, or is that, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Council meets at the end of the month, the 4th Monday, and they'll pass on and talk to our chat.
You said you had another item to
2. All right, the first one is self-storage, Mr. James Brockway. As this, I'll have to show it to you on the zoning map. This parcel, due to the 660 feet, part of this parcel was C2. The other half was R1. This parcel is currently R1. And then James had bought a parcel in February down here, and it's also R1. You can see, James, the dirt work that's happening when this building was taken. James is now building buildings out here, expanding his business. He's not bought any building permits. And he's expanding this business into this R1. Now, I've gone to James and said, you need to come to planning and zoning and get this rezone done. And you need to get these permits done. Now, I haven't seen James. So that's just for.
I think it needs to do it. I can't imagine why maybe I'd be surprised if we're against it. You just need to come and check the box.
And I'll stay on top of it, but I just want to make you aware.
This is one of those examples where, when the annexation happened 15 years ago or whatever, it was 660 either side. They just thought, well, that'll just take the front.
Yes, if he done all that, he assumed that he was in the proper zone,
I'm sure.
but he does need to pull his permits, just like everybody else.
And he needs to get the rezone.
How long has this been going on? The building?
He actually has he's starting to put buildings up.
All there's
All
buildings,
this concrete is poured.
there's buildings up.
There's buildings up.
I mean,
We are being consistent. Let's give him the 90 days too. If you don't, then find him or wherever you have to find him.
that or a cease and desist.
Whatever.
Well, I considered that if he didn't come in a timely fashion.
But 90 days is plenty of time to get the rezone, and all he's got to do.
I will have to advertise it just like all the
Right,
others.
so that's
I mean,
coming down next.
I break a tie in favor of that. I don't think it's gonna be controversial, but it is.
Okay, last piece of business. Mr. Teets is here tonight. We've got some emails. I've provided you with a set of emails. The first one was from the investigator for ATF. Mr. Teets was applying for a business license.
Federal firearms license.
Okay. And he wanted to have this business in his home. You have my email back to the investigator. The decision I have made about whether or not he could do it. Now, I talked to the investigator this afternoon, and she said that you did get your firearms license.
Yes,
At Echo Call.
yes, sir. That's where I'm operating out of.
Okay.
That's my full-time job.
She told me she would be a little bit apprehensive if you want to put it in a residential.
She gave a reason.
I don't know those people. Like
I say she didn't mention anything to me about it.
She just told me that she would be apprehensive. You have the right to a change.
Yes.
She said you have the right to change your location, but she would be apprehensive. Now,
Well, I mean, you already made the decision, did you not?
I did.
Good. I don't know if we have the
Mr.
authority.
Case approached me about the conditional use permit. So what I'm asking you is that something that you want to do?
Can we back up just a little bit? Are you doing any kind of manufacturing within the house?
At the moment, no.
Do you anticipate doing any kind of manufacturing within the house?
Yeah, approved. But I mean, whenever you're talking about firearms, manufacturing would be as simple as put a bolt in.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is see,
This is mainly gunsmithing work, engraving,
yeah.
installing scopes, whatnot. There's no storefront to it or anything.
no walking
Such uses
Be
as,
online.
and it goes on, clinic, doctor, metal or auto repair shop are deemed to be home, or shall not be deemed to be home occupations. But I have knowledge of people that are putting bolts in guns, assembling guns at the side of city limits, and they've got an FFL. So what's the difference? I take it somebody from alcohol, tobacco, and firearms contacted James. Is that how it happened?
Yes, confirming the zoning part.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, they do that during the application process.
Yeah, it's normal process.
So can we do a conditional use that way? This gentleman decides
Well,
to move to a different house?
Under home occupation, read that under home occupation 14.0507. And what it allows and doesn't allow. But what you're asking for, what he wants to do would have to be some kind of a conditional use, I guess.
That's the only way, because it doesn't specify whether you can or can't do what he's trying to do.
Well, there's that, and I'm going here from memory, there's that caveat language that says that we can approve conditional use for other things that we deem to
Yeah.
be similar.
I mean, are you gonna be running a machine shop?
No.
Okay. Are you gonna be doing it inside the house, or you have to go out in an outside building somewhere?
I mean, I can do it in my garage. And I didn't really understand the nomenclature. So whatever I need to do to be able to do it, if I need to do it in an out shop, I have.
No, actually, you can't have an accessory building.
Okay, well, I can do it inside the home.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no CNC machining or anything like that. It's simple bench top work.
what it's highlighted is ATF is not real thorough, because I know at least one, maybe two within city limits that operate with a license and assemble guns.
If
And,
they already are, I don't know how we can tell this guy no, it's going to cut him stop.
yeah, well, it's the same premise. And I saw in your letter, you're taking the stuff out to Echo Calls to have the engraving done on it.
Yes.
So.
No, that's where his current permit is.
Yeah, that's where I work full time, and then the owner just allows me to do this on the side. And that's where my permit is right now.
You just want to bring your side gig home.
Yes. They allowed me to do it there conditionally while I was trying to figure all this out. So,
Well, as long as he's not gonna be having folks show up, and,
no, it's,
you know, putting on, I mean, I don't have.
There's
I
no
don't know how anybody would know
Yeah.
unless she called.
Here's the thing, and this is what the investigator told me this afternoon, if he's okay on this. If we okay, and then she turns around and gives him a permit at his home, then he's open to do whatever he wants to.
But we can.
within
The
manufacturing.
conditional use, we could limit that, I guess.
Yeah, we can limit what he does in conditional.
Yeah, because it's a type 7 FFL, which is a manufacturing license, meaning I could stick a trigger in, or I could have an entire CNC set up, which obviously would require another massive shop.
Yeah, and I think within 14.0507, that kind of a business needs it. You're not dealing with anything that's explosive or anything like that.
No,
You're not,
there's no chemical waste or machine
Yeah.
waste,
yeah.
anything like that.
She did mention that on the online sales, if you'll notice in his answer to me, the online sales, that those online sales, that stock would have to be kept at the house. So he would have stock and trade involved at the house.
But I don't have a stock to sell online. When I say online, I mean somebody would go onto a site and send me something, and then I work on it, send it back.
I mean,
I won't actually carry any products.
Are you gonna have clients coming out to the house daily?
The only time someone would even come to my house is to sign a piece of paper, me run the background check, and get a box.
And I know that's going on at other FFLs here in town. So,
There'd be no more commercial traffic on my road, and
The Amazon truck that comes down Dover 12 times a day.
it's on harness anyway, so it's,
you know,
that truck was gonna get tore up anyway.
How do we need to word it to satisfy this gentleman that gave you?
well, has he applied for conditional use, James?
No, we were just bring it to you tonight and see if you would entertain the idea.
I just came in last night, and talked to him before I closed the business.
We'll have to follow, I would think if we're going to
Yeah,
go extra route,
right.
we had to follow the details of that.
And he had already explained that it wouldn't be tonight, it'd be
Okay.
15 days prior to the next.
Sounds like to me that conditional use is the best possible approach. I mean, I guess there's no guarantee.
I mean,
folks.
Under residential districts, page 31 of my book, I don't know, it's 14.06.05, home occupation is permitted, but within something like this, conditional use, at least it's on record that you filed for it. I don't have a problem with it. If you apply for conditional use, I'm good with that.
Everybody else seems comfortable with it. So it sounds like the approach.
I'll take you through the process.
If you were pounding on a car out front, that would be different. That's when they're talking about metal work, they're talking about somebody pounding on a car, fabricating.
It's not that you have any plans, but if for whatever reason, when you submit the conditional use, you probably need to be fairly specific about what it is you're doing now.
Yes.
And then if your use changes substantially, you need a new conditional use to accommodate any kind of specific things not referred to in the first one.
Understood.
I agree.
That help? James, they give you what you need?
Yeah, I'll,
And will you help him along with the
yeah,
work?
I'll help us through the process.
I can come by whenever if I need to.
Sounds good. Just FYI, I'm gonna be out of state next month, on the first Tuesday.
And I can tell you something that just hit me, we're gonna have to appoint a new vice chair. Mr. Lewis,
That's right.
if you're gonna be out of state, somebody's got to,
So who's gonna have-
isn't Don the vice chair?
No, Michael is.
Michael.
I think Michael is.
My bad, I'm sorry.
Hopefully you're in town that night. Now, I don't
Okay.
mind if I want to reschedule. We'll just see where we're at. I just want everybody to know where I can't be. So if we may have four, right? I don't, do we already have time sensitive stuff
No.
that we know of now?
No.
Well, the only thing is our next meeting is the day after Labor Day weekend, so.
With us already being down members, knowing he's gonna be gone and it being the day after, we might.
Y'all do the following Tuesday, I mean, I'm open, whatever y'all want to do. So does that work?
Well, what's you?
I'll be in town, I mean, I'll be out of state.
Second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday of
Second.
I move to set our next meeting as September 13th.
Second.
Proper motion, second, all in favor, say aye. And we'll meet then, and maybe we'll have some more to that. It's by then. Sounds good. Any other items of discussion this evening?
anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Proper motion, second, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you for your service and time.